I was also at the moment enthralled with going back to writing with, you know, hopefully beautiful melodies and with a lot of pop influences and a really rich tapestry of sound and sort of classic guitars and rock songs and choruses and I kind of fell in love with doing that again, probably the most since maybe Born to Run, you know, and that was, you know, it's like using a set of muscles that you've let sit for a while. I think after Born to Run, I began to move more in a folk influenced area. Even chord structures of, say, Even Darkness are like much simpler, folk influenced, country influenced, and I kind of carried that pretty much through, you know, for quite a while. So it was nice to go back and use, oh yeah, I can write these melodies and the band can sing these harmonies and I like the lush string sounds and we know how to arrange those things, and it was just a treat to to go back and try to create something that was also going to be a feast for people's ears, hopefully. And that's kind of what I'm interested in now. I'm going to continue to write like that for a while because it was very inspiring. And then at the same time I wanted to thread it through with, you know, what had been going on, and so the songs are sort of, the sound of the songs in some ways is comforting, and then the thing underneath is subverting, you know, the messages, and it just, you know, I don't like to write something that I think somebody's going to hear 7 years from now. It's going to feel like it's dated like an old newspaper, you know. Then you're a journalist. You know, I'm not a journalist. I'm a songwriter and a musician. So whenever I go to write about something that's a part of, say, the events of the day, I'll try to find a way where if you listen to the songs, you can interpret it personally, you can interpret it politically. There's a lot of different, there's a multiple layers of meanings in the music, and those are the songs that last, you know. And then you can sing for 20 years or 30 years or however long.
And that message, presumably it's not on President Bush's iPod at the moment, and presumably it's difficult for a certain segment of your audience, particularly in the States as well.
In the States, it's funny, you know, I mean, yeah, there's more controversy, you know. On the last tour, we did a thing where it was, you know, part of like this preacher rap I did at 10th Avenue where I would advocate the impeachment of the president, and he would get booed a little bit. I mean, some people would cheer, some people would do. So, oh, that's good. I got both people. I got both sides inside the tent anyway, you know. And so, you know, that happens with if you're sort of tackling those kinds of events. It happens from time to time. I wrote a song, 41 Shots, and there was a lot of hostility to that when we first played it. And so you sort of, you know, it's just part of being a songwriter. But I think that the States is, I guarantee, you know, people are ready for a change right now. But I think if the previous election had occurred 6 months later, I think the results would have been different. But I think people were still under the spell and the fear of 9/11, and that you know, if you look when countries lose their way, it's always because somebody is playing on the fears of the people in a way that's demagogic, you know. And that's really what happened in the States, and that's how we ended up in Iraq. And it was just a shocking turn of events. You know, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, I guess you go back to the Vietnam War, there was a Gulf of Tonkin incident that was fictionalized too, but it was just, I've just never seen anything as shocking as, I've lived through almost 60 years in the States now, and it was like, wow, I've never seen somebody pull off as bold-faced as that, and it was very, very distressing, just not only the foreign policy, but domestic policy, where then there was a rollback of civil rights, and it was the first time I've ever heard of people being able to be picked up off the street and disappeared. Well, we're used to hearing about that in Argentina in the 80s or something, but not in America. So it's very, very, very unusual times and very tragic. And so it's, I think it's interesting. I think that probably some of my politics are a little more in tune with over here. in Europe and here in Ireland and in the States. It's hard to tell yet. You know, it's hard to tell if we've done real well in the blue states, you know, and I have to see how we do in the red ones. I think that's on the next leg of the tour, you know. And you can't tell. I mean, some people. I mean, you know, you get the boxes of broken records and that sort of thing, put the notes in, but you know, it's nothing drastic.
I suppose for the last question I was asking lots of people, what should I ask Bruce? And my 7-year-old Rosie came up with the best thing. Ask him what his next CD will be. So it's a bit greedy. I just haven't had magic out, but
let me see. All I can say is here's what I do. I like doing the sessions record. I go home and I go to the hotel and I write at night, and I wrote probably most of this record, the E Street Band record. And right now I'm kind of working on, I have my short story songs, so I have sort of an album that I have some Western stories that I'm kind of continuing to work on. But I'm also working on some stuff for the band also, and so I don't have I can't make a clear prediction, you know, but I have some nice things for the band, and I have been excited about kind of moving back into a certain kind of sound and a certain sort of recording. So it depends if I come up with enough material and all that stuff. And so at some point I'll do another round with the sessions band, because that allowed me to explore everything. All my roots pre-rock and roll allowed me to go from the 40s back, and just hearing all that, you know, the horns and the fiddle. That was a great time, you know. So those are 3 ways that I'll continue to tour in the future. What exactly is going to be next? Secret. Secret. But I'll tell you when we're done. You can tell her.